Kindness, dreams, discrimination. What is this? So I get like new cutscenes, or the sound of rain fills the village. The steep cliffs that surrounded the area magnified sound, causing even the slightest drizzle to rattle like a thunderstorm. The wisps of smoke streamed from huts as the villagers huddled in their homes and waited out the rain. A single child, however, had braved the downpour and was now wandering slowly toward the wooden hawk-shaped weather vane at the center of town. Excuse me, I just have to find a place to put my feet, and that's been no easy task. Sorry about that. Okay, I'm much more comfy right now. Uh, the wanderer, the wanderer reached the vein which had existed for as long as any could remember and stared. The child's face was simultaneously delicate and fierce, like a teacup that had survived a shipwreck. Those traits combined with pale white skin to give the face an almost sexless quality. If the beak turns east, I go home. If it stays west, then I. The child blinked. Rain slowly dripped down the young one's short hair and began its long descent to the ground. Come on, come on. The child felt a slight breeze and watched as the vein slowly creaked to life. Spinning this way and that for a moment, it finally settled with the beak pointing firmly toward the east. East? Really? Before the vein could move again, a jagged rock came spinning and tumbling through the air, striking home against the child's head. What? The force of the blow dropped the child to the ground as a hail of stones began to fall all around. Wait, what is this? Why is this so... What? Oh no, they found me. What? Is she like running away from someone? This is kinda right. A heartbreaking smile crept across the child's face as the stones continued their assault. Through the rain, the sound of multiple footsteps grew louder before a voice rang out. Yoo-hoo, Kaine! The voice belonged to Demo, worst of all the bullies in the area. Oh, so area was her home. That's why she was close by. As Kaine struggled to stand, a final stone came skittering through the mud and bounced against her foot. Blood oozed from a cut above her eye and blurred her vision. She could make out the shapes of Dima and his usual gang of idiots. The boy seemed taken aback for a moment by Kaine's seeming indifference to the blood dripping from her face, but quickly regained his bravado. What's up, freak? You like the rain? You like getting all wet? Or did you finally decide to run away from home? Though she knew it was futile, Kaine turned to leave. Before she could get more than a few steps, the other children scrambled to surround her, cruelty burning in their eyes. Kaine knew those were not the only eyes on her. The tormentor's parents watched from the safety of their homes. She was attuned to this sensation. It was one she had experienced many times before. Like, what the hell is with this terribly, terribly sad beginning of the story? What? While some villagers simply turned a blind eye to the actions of their children, many encouraged it openly. In a society ruled by superstition and fear, Kaine was something to be hated, and if possible destroyed. Why? I didn't say you could leave, freak. Demo's words chewed at her like a worm through an apple. He can't hurt me, she lied to herself. Be strong, be brave. He can't hurt me, he can't hurt me, he can't hurt. Oh look, the little freak is gonna cry. What's wrong? Are you sad that everyone hates you and wants you dead? What? Like, I still don't understand why this is. Kaine prayed for the rain to flood down and carry her away from a world that seemed to have no place for her. But if there were gods, they chose to ignore her. As Demo crept ever closer, the clouds began to thin and the rain slowed. Even the weather hates me. I'm useless. A failure. I wish Demo's rock had taken my head off. Kaine couldn't meet Demo's leering gaze. She lowered her eyes and stared at the muddy ground below. The bully moved forward until he was inches away. She could smell the scent of old meat on his breath. The boy grabbed Kaine's face with thick fingers and yanked it upward. She tried to turn away, but he forced her gaze back and jammed his thumb against her eyelid to pry it open. Show me. No. Did you just say no? Dima grinned evilly. You don't say no to me. No one says no to me. What? Not even taking his attention from Kaine, he called to his cohorts. Come on, guys. Let's give the freak what she deserves. As soon as Dima finished, kicks and blows began to rain down upon Kaine. Oh my god. Dima paused, still grinning, as Kaine curled into a ball and tried to make the pain stop. I don't get you, freak. What you acting like a girl for, huh? Everyone knows what you really are. Kaine ignored the question, choosing instead to stare at the wet dirt vein. It continued to point east, as if supremely confident about the future it has chosen for her. Go home? Yeah, that's a funny joke for someone with dead parents and no home to go to. Freak, chanted the children. Freak, freak, freak. Heidi closed her eyes and listened to the rain, waiting for the pain to start again. As the clutching hands of the village children closed round her, she bent her mind to the sound of the rain, letting it become her world entire. The rain fell, but the pain never came. Only when the laughter of her tormentors turned to terrified cries did she dare open a single blood-caked eye. Heine was shocked to see Dino sprawled on the ground, holding his head and screaming in pain. She could see blood welling from spaces between his fat, twisted fingers. Oh my god, he's crying. He is actually crying. Yes, serves him right. Whatever this is, he deserved it. What is this? Deprived of their leader, the other children glanced back and forth between themselves, as if waiting for someone to step forward and take charge. When no savior emerged, they began an uneasy shuffle away from Kaine. Like I didn't expect this to start off this way. What? It's terrible. But the young girl was least of their concerns. Instead, their attention was wrapped on the ancient woman, standing a few feet away. After struggling for breath for a moment, she finally spoke in a voice thick with rage. Hurts like a bitch, don't it? And I suggest you scatter before I throw another one. And if any of you little bastards ever touch my Kanye again, I'll do far worse than throw a rock. You can count on it. Wait, who is this? The old woman crouched down and gently touched the hand Demo was using to cover the wound. Before he could think to protest, she ground her palm into the wound and twisted back and forth. Ow! He screamed, leaping to his feet. Stop it! What are you doing? Quit whining! And no one ever died from a scratch. You hit me with a rock, you stupid bitch. A big one. That thing could have killed me. The old woman shrugged. Death is the best cure for stupid. Dima's face twisted with rage at her words. Locking his eyes on Kaine, he took a step backward and spat on the ground. Get out. Leave this village. No one wants you here, either of you. Seeing the old woman grab another stone, Dima and his companions turned tail and ran. As they fled, the old woman grabbed her side and barked out a single laugh. Ah, look at the fat boy go. Also, I guess this is the woman who she learned her good manners from. Guess he's healthy enough to run from a fight. The woman's smile faded as she turned her attention to Kaine. Kneeling down, she removed her shawl and placed it around the young girl's shoulders, and produced a cloth from the folds of her dress and began blotting out the blood on her forehead. Oh, Kaine, she said, why didn't you fight back? You're stronger than that lot. The words of her grandmother. Oh, that's her grandma. Oh, okay, okay. Oh my gosh, I should have known because she did mention her at the beginning, like as she was fighting the shade. Honestly, this kind of I don't know, I guess this kind of story, like with her grandma being so involved, like for me it really hits home because I don't know, my grandma was like like a mom to me, honestly. I lost her a few years ago and I never had a good relationship with my mom at all, but I lived with my grandma for for many years, and this story just kind of it hits different for sure. Words of her grandmother stung Kaine, and she turned away. "Don't be nice to me," she said. "I don't deserve it. Nothing matters anymore." Her tears, held in check for so long, finally began to fall on the muddy ground below. "Everyone hates me. They think I cause bad things to happen. They think I'm a freak. I wish I was dead." As Kaine's tears turned to sobs, she felt her grandmother's hands on her shoulders. Despite her advanced age and diminutive size, she was a woman of surprising strength, and Kaine found herself unable to turn away. "Don't talk like that, girl. If it's a river wide and deep that flows between the realms of this world and the next, and it grants no mercy to any that attempt the crossing. You got a duty to fight until your last breath. Understand?" The old woman tightened her grip and tried to still the tremor in her voice. "You know the pain of losing someone close to you, Kaine. You know because you survived it." As the words hit home, Kaine was struck by the force of her love for the old woman. As a young child, she didn't even know of her grandmother, but when her parents died, the woman quickly accepted her as her own. Grandma, as Kaine called her, was cunning, vulgar, and quick to violence, and their first years together had not been easy. Oh, who does that remind you of? Like she is. Now we see who she picked up all of that from. Yeah, my grandma was the same way. But with each year that passed, Kaine and her grandmother had grown closer. However, it was only now, sitting in the mud with tears and blood caking her face, that Kaine truly understood the depths of her affection. Here was a woman who had seen hard times, who had seen death, who had fought through all these things and somehow emerged on the other side. If anyone could understand Kaine's pain and loneliness, it was her. "Do I make you sick, Grandma?" "Of course not. Don't be an ass." Kaine drew her grandmother's moth-eaten shawl around her body and shuddered. "But my body, it's not normal. If I was normal, then Mom and Dad wouldn't—" "Hush," interrupted Grandma. "I'll not hear another word of this nonsense. You're my granddaughter, and I love you, and if folks have a problem with that, they can just go to hell." With that, the old woman reached out and placed a wreath of dried flowers in Kaine's hair. The skill it took to bend the flowers without breaking the stems or losing a single petal was remarkable, and the beauty of it made Kaine want to cry all over again. "Oh my gosh, these are lunar tears. Grandma, you made this for me?" Lunar tears were legendary flowers. Most people could live their entire lives without ever seeing one, and yet her grandmother had somehow collected a dozen or more. Kaine reached up and touched the wreath as if she couldn't believe it was real. "Where did you find these?" "Just stumbled on them while I was out doing the shopping." The old woman turned away as she spoke, leading Kaine to suspect that the search had been more difficult than she was letting on. The pains she took to construct the ornament, let alone track down the flowers used in its construction, made Kaine's heart hurt. She reached up and gently adjusted the wreath, admiring the way it felt between her fingers. "Didn't quite turn out right," said her grandmother as she squinted at it. "These old hands have trouble with delicate work, but it sure looks good on a pretty girl like you." Kaine blushed and turned away. "You think I'm pretty?" "Of course you are. What a fool thing to say." "Thank you, Grandma." My grandmother smiled. "We're gonna be fine, you and me," she said. "As long as we got each other, we'll be just fine." Kaine took her grandmother's hand in hers, and the two of them struggled to their feet. As they began the long walk home, Kaine gripped the hand with all her might, as if trying to stop smoke from drifting away on the wind. Like, I wonder if that's the wreath, like, that she was keeping in her home. The flowers. The rain had stopped. Kaine stood beneath the weather vane, watching it spin in lazy circles, no longer caring about the direction it faced when it stopped. "I don't need to escape. I have a home now. Grandma loves me, and that's enough, even if it's us against the world." I'm not sure I'm ready for this super sad, depressing little thing. Kaine let her gaze drift off past the vane and into the cloudy sky. The last faint hits of the rainbow were slowly fading. As she turned and headed for home, the light scattered into a million particles and vanished, seemingly taken away on the breeze. His dream's daily life. Okay. In the distance, Kaine heard the steady sounds of an axe striking wood. The noise had a purposeful quality to it, as if she was hearing a master woodsman go about his work. The firewood being produced, however, was as far from a work of art as it could be. Pieces of shape and size were being flung about a barren yard with wild abandon. Anyone trying to stack such wood would probably die of frustration before the job was through. Stupid piece of shit axe. Oh, that's probably grandma. Fanny's grandmother flailed away with the axe, filling the air with both splinters of wood and words that would make the most hardened sailor blush. Grandma, called Kaine. Is that you, Kaine? Yelled the old woman, taking her eyes off the wood for a moment. Don't get too close, or I might take your goddamn foot off by mistake. She brought the axe down on a piece of wood, sending chips flying in every direction. One spun past Kaine's close enough for her to hear the whistle, at which point she decided to step back. Once she scuttled to a safe distance, she cupped her hands around her mouth and shouted, Grandma, do you need help? I can get you water or lunch or a new axe or something. The axe, poised to strike another wobbly blow, paused in midair. The old woman considered her granddaughter's offer for a moment, then smiled. Tell you what, since I'm doing such a piss-poor job of chopping, why don't you come here to take over so I can go get the water? Sheets have been restless lately, and I don't want you running into one of them bastards. Relinquishing the axe, her grandmother picked up a long pole with wooden buckets on either end. Gathering water was by far the more difficult of the two jobs, but Kinda knew better than to complain. Once Grandma's mind was set, there was no changing it. Kinda did her best to help with chores, but Grandma took every task that required travel to the village. Though she had a long list of plausible excuses, Kinda knew the real reason. She didn't want her granddaughter to be taunted and harassed by the villagers. Once Kinda moved in, Grandma decided to take up residence a good distance from the area. Out of sight, out of mind seemed to be the best policy when it came to the villagers and her granddaughter, and rare were the days when any but the two of them could be found on the rocky acre of land they called home. Kinda enjoyed the solitude, but harbored a secret resentment that her grandmother was forced to spend her golden years in such a place. After watching her grandmother leave, Kinda turned her attention to the task at hand. She had never chopped wood before in her life, and soon discovered why the old woman hated the chore. Swing after swing of the axe produced only a tiny crack in wood. When she finally managed to connect with a solid stroke, the tool embedded itself in the log and refused to budge. Prostrated, Kanye swung the axe around her head and threw it long and all across the yard. Damn it! Ugh, crap. She suddenly understood the joy her grandmother felt in a good curse. Happier now, she picked up the axe, forced it from the wood, and resumed chopping. She had a natural skill with the blade, but the task was challenging, and blisters soon began to form on her small pink hands. This is tough. My logs are weird sizes. Spinning on her palms and ignoring the pain, Kinda redoubled her efforts. Just as she was developing a rhythm, Grandma returned from the village. Setting down her buckets with a small sigh, she took one look at the log and coughed out a wheezy laugh. Pretty clumsy girl. You better practice if you. The grandmother suddenly collapsed to her knees, causing one of the buckets to wobble precariously. Eyes wide, Kinda dropped the axe and ran to her grandmother's side. Grandma! The old woman shook her head and pointed a trembling finger at the bucket. Get the bucket. Can't let it spill. I hope. Well, I guess she did die at some point. Oh, they're gonna tell us all about it, aren't they? Tiny steadied the bucket with a foot as she knelt by her grandmother. A small bit of water sloshed over the side and made a new hole in the hem of her dress, but Tiny didn't notice. Grandma, what's happening? Crazed with panic, she grabbed her grandmother by the shoulders and shook. After a moment, the woman lifted her arms and batted Tiny away. Stop that! Just stop! She cried, breathing heavily. It ain't like I'm dying. Well, that's very foreboding. Let me actually move this. How am I going to sit today? Is the question. Okay. Well, for now, I can do it like this. Just tired from the trip is all. Kaine desperately wanted to believe her, but one look at the old woman's shaking hands and warm face told her more than the words ever could. Her grandmother had lived a long, hard life, and it seemed the bill was finally coming due. The time when her grandmother watched over Kaine was ending. Sooner than either of them had feared, the positions would be reversed. Next morning, Kaine came to the side of her grandmother's bed and took her wrinkled hand. Oh, I was pressing the wrong button. I was like, what's happening? Grandma, you're sick and you need medicine. I am going to the village. The old woman shook her head and tried to rise, but Kaine gently pushed her down. It's all right, she said. I'll be fine. My grandmother fixed her with a gaze that could melt steel. After what seemed an eternity, she finally lowered her eyes and sighed. Well, I don't like it, goddammit, but I guess I should quit being so stubborn and let you grow up. The old woman watched as Kaine strapped on her boots and made her way down the road to the village. Hours later, as an unseen sun made its way across the dark rainy sky, she was still watching. Kaine moved at a brisk pace, checking her pockets every few minutes to make sure the money her grandmother gave her was still there. Every noise caused her to spin on her heels, making sure she wasn't being stalked by a shade, or worse, Demo and his gang. Well, I guess at this point she was more grown up ish, I guess. But she encountered neither tormentors nor shades, and Kaine finally found herself at the entrance to the village. The few adults she could see glanced sideways at her, and muttered to each other behind raised hands before slinking away into the shadows. Her heart racing, Kaine took a series of rapid, shallow breaths and tried to calm herself. I have to prove myself. I have to help Grandma. I have to be strong. She chanted those words to herself over and over as she slowly made her way. Finally, her eyes settled on a rotund older woman who was angrily waving her arms in the air and telling anyone who would listen exactly what she thought of Kaine's presence. "My lady," said Kaine with a bravado she did not feel, "where is the apothecary?" The woman's flabby cheeks shook in bewildered anger. "How dare this thing speak to me?" they seemed to say. Kaine saw that her eyes held a different emotion. Fear. "Yeah, we're both scared, lady. Trust me on this one." "Which way?" Kaine repeated. The woman pointed at a small building to her right before hitching up her dress and and stumbling off in the other direction. Kaine cringed, expecting a stone to come flying from the assembled crowd, but none came. Her mind was filled with a strange sense of pride as she made her way to the apothecary. Uh, but the new emotion had little time to take root, for as soon as she opened the door, she noticed a familiar customer at the counter. It was Demo. He'd clearly been sent here on some kind of family errand, because his gang of followers was nowhere to be found. "Oh my god," he sputtered. What are you doing here, freak?" The insult was delivered without force, and Kaine happily ignored it. Stretching on tiptoes to see over the counter, she asked the shopkeeper for the medication. "Ah," barked Demo, "that old bitch finally keel over? Go to hell, Demo." The boy's eyes grew so wide they seemed ready to fall out of his head. But before he could let fly a comeback, or worse, a punch, the apothecary told him to knock it off before he kicked them out of the store. Demo slunk out of the shop, cursing Kaine under his breath. Once he was gone, she allowed herself to breathe once more, taking a brief tour of the shop while the owner prepared her medication. Countless tiny bottles filled the cramped store, each with a label written in some indecipherable language. An ocean of aromas assaulted her nose, creating a scent that was exotic but not altogether unpleasant. Seeing such a variety of supplies gave Kaine a sense of peace. Surely, in a world so vast, there would be a place that she could call home. On the far wall, behind the counter, rested a portrait of a stunning young girl. Now, the picture had once contained bright, vibrant colors, but time and work and school magic, and they were beginning to fade. The beauty of the work, however, remained undiminished. You like that picture? And he turned to find the apothecary with a small vial of medicine in his hand. His eyes were gentle but sad, and they seemed to stare through her and into nothing as he spoke. That's my daughter. I sketched it when she was just a little girl. She's been dead a long time now. Heidi didn't know how to respond. She just stared at the portrait and tried to come up with the right words. Pictures are wonderful things, continued the shopkeeper. They let the ones closest to you live on forever. Yeah, like I said, I'm probably not at a good emotional state for this today. My gosh. He shook his head slightly and looked down at Kaine and smiled. Handing her the medicine, he reached into his sizable green apron and produced a handful of old wax crayons. You should have these. There's no one left I wish to draw. Aww. Kaine took an instinctive step back, causing the shopkeeper's face to darken. Yes, I've heard rumors about you, he said. It's a small village, and words travel quickly. Between you and me, I'm not sure which of them to believe. But I also don't think they matter much. I know her grandmother, Kali, and I think the way she was driven out of this town is just deplorable. Grandma's name is Kali, thought Kaine suddenly. Well, she doesn't even know her name? She was still mulling this new fact in her mind. She reached out and gently took the crayons from the apothecary's hands. Her grandmother is an old friend of mine, he said as Kaine scooted away yet again, and I owe her much. I wager she would like it if you drew a picture of her. Wait, do I remember correctly that there indeed was a picture on like where Kaine was asleep when we first met her, like in that part? Yes, I think she would like that very much. Kaine murmured in quiet agreement, but inside her heart was bursting. Never before had a villager treated her with anything but complete contempt. It was a tiny, almost imperceptible step, but it was a step nonetheless. And with enough tiny steps, she might one day discover the rest of the world. When Kaine returned home, she found her grandmother asleep in her bed. Her feet were blackened and raw, even bleeding a bit in places, leading Kaine to think that she had been pacing around the room until exhaustion finally caught up with her. She placed the medicine by her grandmother's pillow and turned to leave, but found the old woman's hand clasped around her arm. Back already, are you? Asked her grandmother with a yawn. Come here, let me have a look at you. Grandma sat up and examined Kaine from head to toe. Finally satisfied that nothing terrible had befallen her grandchild, she leaned back and allowed herself to relax. Well, how was it? Those bastards give you any trouble? It was kind of fun, said Kaine with a small smile. No, seriously, it was. Funny, asked her grandmother in a voice which implied she believed anything but. Huh? So anytime you need me to run an errand, just let me know. As she spoke, Kaine removed the crayons from her pocket. After a brief explanation of their source, she informed her grandmother that she was going to sketch her portrait. A portrait of me? Ridiculous. No one wants to stare at a wrinkled old crone. Grandma, it'll make you live forever. Poor shit, sighed her grandmother, throwing back the sheet from her bed. Living forever would just piss me off. Now put those crayons away and help with dinner. She's funny. But Kaine would not relent, and in the end, Grandma found herself leaning against the wall of their house as a posing for a master artist. Give me a second. I just want to check something. Yeah, from time to time, I just like to refresh everything to make sure we're good to go. I'm also a little tired today, so I'm just having a hard time just, following through everything. But Kaine would not relent, and in the end, Grandma found herself leaning against the wall of their house as a posing for a master artist. Kaine took up the crayons, eyed her subject carefully, and set to work. Just as the grandmother was about to nod off, Kaine finished the piece. After staring at it for a bit, "Oh, good morning, Victor. How are you? Welcome back. What's up?" You're just in time for a ball of depression. Like I've been reading this text and I'm like, what is this? It's just like I'm not ready for this today. After staring at it for a bit, she released it from her grip and let it slowly drift to the floor. It's terrible. Doesn't look like you at all. I'm sorry, Grandma. I thought these crayons would, make drawing easy or something. Gone pretty well. I'm a little tired. Started to scream a little later than usual. But I was definitely not ready for for this kind of ball of depression. But I guess that's what we're in for, right? The old woman's eyes narrowed at her granddaughter's disappointment. Let me be the judge of that, she said, ignoring the pain in her back and reaching for the paper. The sketch could have been a person's face. It also could have been a boulder, a lump of clay, or an incredibly misshapen loaf of bread, all rendered in a chaotic array of colors. The old woman stared at the picture for a long time, and slowly wheezed out a laugh. Oh, Kaide, she said between laughter, you truly are my blood. You are as clumsy as me, and I love it. Every path has a resume like this. It's worse than Automata. Worse in what way? Like more sad, or it's just like longer, or what do you mean? Yeah, I hope we played Automata at the beginning of next year. I think Automata and Octopath Traveler would be my first two choices before I start with I guess with what is it, Forspoken, and then Hogwarts Legacy and Octopath 2. These are like the my goals for the beginning of next year, anyways. Oh, more sad. Oh, I see. But hush, I won't hear any more bull about how ugly you think it is. It came from the heart, and I'll treasure it always. True to her word, the old woman gave the picture a place of honor above the kitchen table. In the days that followed, Kaine would often catch her staring at the portrait with a sweet smile on her face, an action she interpreted as silent, mocking laughter. Kaine could stand it no more, and asked her grandmother to take the artwork down. Posh, said the old woman. I'll take this down when they roll me in my shroud. She pondered this for a bit, then turned to Kaine and dropped to one knee. Listen to me, girl. Seeing this picture makes me happy in a way I've never felt before. And it makes me want to go on, so that someday you can feel the same happiness. You have to play it. I have to go back and play a bit of 14 before 6.3. Yeah, I've been trying to get myself to do it, but honestly, there's just so many other things that I'm interested right now that I haven't been playing 14 in a very long time. And yes, my PvP pass is still there. I need to get myself that dragon, so maybe I should go back and do it. When is the reset for the season pass? Do you know? Is it the 6.3? It was a moment that burned itself in Kindness' memory, a perfect blend of pride and love and joy that came together to form a lifelong remembrance. She swore to never forget this moment, never forget the old woman who had made her place in the world possible. Time moves on. People and memories move in and out of a life like ghosts passing through a hall. But this moment will be different, Kindness swore, because I will remember it forever. Forever. Like the fact that this one is called Separation, it's like I don't know, it's already making me feel sad. Kinda listened to the sound of crackling firewood and stared at the black object on her plate. She'd been pushing it around the wooden disc for a good 10 minutes, ignoring the bemused stare of her grandmother. Finally, she summoned her courage and gave the object a brief sniff. Uh, a sharp, bitter scent flew up her nostrils and made its home there, causing her face to twist with disgust. Graham, I can't believe you want me to eat a bug. The old woman threw some more wood under the cooking pot and stored it. It's no bug, you fool girl, it's a berry. Why the hell would I be feeding you bugs? Yeah, well, it sure looks like a bug, said Kaine. And I think it's burned or something, because it smells terrible. With that, Kaine held her nose and threw the berry in her mouth, chewing as little as possible. Really time to play Bravely Default 2 because I love that game. Honestly, that's the game that I kept getting recommendations for, and at first I didn't think much of it, but I ended up putting it on my 2023 list. So at some point I'd like to visit it as well. Oh yeah, that's terrible, alright. Why, you little brat, laughed the old woman. Look at the sass on you. You've been spending too much time with me, and that's a fact. 5 years had passed since the moment when Kaine's grandmother saved her from the bullies. Uh, as if often the way with two stubborn people, their relationship had grown in fits and starts, but moved forward all the same. Meals that used to be somber affairs were now filled with laugh, and hurled abuse in equal measure. Kaine could not remember a time she had been happier. Wait, is there first two games? What's another game except for just the Bravely Default? Her grandmother's legs grew weaker by the day, and she could no longer do any of the chores she used to take for granted. And so this morning found Kanya lacing up her work boots with a breakfast of burned berry rolling through her belly. "Where are you going today?" asked Grandma suddenly. Tiny looked up surprised. The old woman rarely asked for specifics anymore. "Well, I was going to check out the coma trees and see if they were ripe. I thought we could make some jam or something. Oh, and I'm going to pick up some flagstones, so I need to take the wheelbarrow." "Flagstones? What in the hell for?" Tiny stared at her grandmother, then held out an arm and swept it around their home. Constructed mostly of cloth, rope, and rubble, the old place sagged like a boxer in the final round. "Grandma, a dying cat could chew through this house. I'm going to build a stone wall so we have some protection." The old woman laughed, exposing her toothless grin to the world. "Goddamn girl, if a bunch of thieves want to ransack this old place, let 'em come. We got nothing worth stealing anyway." "I'm not worried about thieves, I'm worried about shades. People saw one west of the village yesterday." The old woman tilted her head and stared at her granddaughter. "Well, shoot. I don't know why I have to do it today. We can worry about it some other. Grandma, no. If I don't go to the coma trees, we won't eat tonight. You know that." A confused expression passed across the old woman's face, and for a moment she was a small child lost in a carnival. "Yes," she said after a bit. "Yes, of course you're right. I'm sorry, Kaya. Lately it seems my mind is—" She didn't finish the thought, instead walking over to her nightstand and gently taking the wreath of lunar tears from the drawer. The flower's petals had aged to a brilliant whiteness, and Kaine thought it was more beautiful now than the day she first received it. "You're gonna be a true woman soon," Grandma said as she placed the flowers in the girl's hair. "So that means less chatter about shades and building defensive walls and more talk about how beautiful you've become." Annoyed, Kaine reached up to remove the garland, but the look on her grandmother's face stopped her hand. "You're a beautiful thing," said the old woman, "and there ain't another like you in all the world. I'm very proud of you." Wait, the first Bravely have a continuation called Bravely Second. It's more a continuation than a second game, like the number FF. Oh, I see. The 2 in Bravely Default 2 is a new story and universe. The first two games are on uh, 3 is the base for Octopath Traveler. I see, I see. So, if I don't play the first two games, as I never have, will I be able to understand the story in Octopath, in Bravely Default 2 and Octopath Traveler 1 and 2 as well? Because those are the ones that I would like to play, probably next year. Okay, Grandma, that's enough. Goddamn compliments for one day. Such a mouth on you. Where did that come from? Gee, I wonder. "I'll teach you to sass me, girl," yelled Grandma. Suddenly, she lurched forward and grabbed Tiny by the ears, pulling her around the room with a crazed grin on her face. "Grandma!" yelled Tiny in a talking voice. "Grandma, stop it! What the hell?" The old woman stared at her and blinked, and slowly held her wrinkled hands out as if it was the first time she had ever seen them. "I don't know what happened there. I'm sorry, girl. Sometimes my mind just—" Annie thought the look on her grandmother's face was the most heartbreaking thing she had ever seen. "Listen," she began, "maybe I should stay home after all. This is so sad for me. It makes me really miss my grandma. Like, she was exactly like this. And basically seeing her as a mother more than, I don't know, she was like a mom to me. like I said at the beginning of this story, I lost her a few years ago, and I also lived with my grandma, kind of like this, um, before before I moved away, and then after and before she passed. It was like this is just making me special, kind of sad. No, I won't have to stay here to keep an eye on an old codger like me. You go get your fruit and your ball and whatnot. I'll be fine. And when you come back, I'll have a nice grasshopper dinner waiting for you. Kind of rolled her eyes and kissed her grandmother on the forehead and made ready to depart, trying desperately to ignore the worry that was gnawing at the walls of her heart. Tiny could feel the old woman's eyes watching her as she moved down the path. Don't turn around, don't turn around, she told herself, but in the end the temptation was too great. She spun on her heel for the final look and saw a small bent woman standing in front of a ramshackle hut with a sad expression on her face. God, she looks so old now. It's like the wind could reach down and just carry her away. Heidi worried about her grandmother all day, causing her work to suffer. The little fruit she could collect was tossed carelessly into the wheelbarrow, and she only found a couple of stones before losing interest in the project. Finally, as dusk approached, she decided to call it a day. Cursing herself for the lack of focus, Kanye pushed the nearly empty wheelbarrow back down the path. As she crested the final hill, she suddenly froze in place. The wheelbarrow fell from her fingers and collapsed on its side, sending a few pieces of wrinkled brown fruit rolling back down the hill. Her gaze was transfixed by a thick black cloud that hovered just ahead. And tracing its path with a finger, Kanye suddenly felt her stomach knot in on itself. No, all gods no. Her grandmother's house was ablaze, the flames licking up as if trying to touch the sky itself. Grandma? Grandma! Kanye ran then, faster than she ever moved in her life. Once she tripped on a stone and went sprawling into the rocky ground, but she leaped to her feet and continued running, unmindful of the blood that spilled from her wounded hands and knees. As she got closer and closer, Kanye's mind began to race in time with her footfalls. It's too dark. It's too dark. Not just fire. Can't be fire. Too much smoke. Gotta save her. Gotta save her. She burst into the front yard and came to a sudden halt, her worst suspicions confirmed. The smoke from the fire was mingling with the thick, inky blackness of an enormous shape. Oh my god. The massive creature supported itself on 3 twisted feet and achieved balance through means of a large armored tail. Scales, horns, and claws sprouted from its body in a random chaotic pattern, giving it the appearance of a lizard, designed by some insane god. Seeing Kanye, it let out a roar and flicked its tail, sending small whirlwinds spinning around the yard. For a moment, the creature retreated into a shimmering inky blackness, as if her mind was unable to comprehend that such a thing could actually exist. But then the smell hit her, a blend of rotted meat and excrement, and the horror became real once more. The creature bellowed again, and this time Kiner responded with a scream of her own. "All right, you bastard," she thought as her scream echoed off the high cliffs around them. "It's you or me. Let's go." The shade eyed Kine with a bemused interest. Then I began looking from her to the house and back again, as if urging her to look at the destruction it had so briefly wrought. With dread building in her heart, Kine glanced towards the house. Through the smoke and flames, she spotted a small figure struggling to escape the ruins. "Grandma." At the sound of her voice, the old woman began waving frantically. "She's alive!" thought Kanye. "Alive!" Kanye's legs sprang to life as she raced across the yard toward the flaming wreckage of the house. Before she could advance more than a few steps, the shade opened its mouth and let out a roar powerful enough to uproot trees and send them flying. The blast sent Kanye tumbling through the air before smashing her against the rocky earth. Stars danced in front of her eyes as she tried to remember how her legs worked. Get up. Get up. Get up, get up, get up now. As Kanye struggled to her feet, the shade stomped towards the house and pinned her grandmother to the ground with the tip of a claw. The old woman struggled to move the claw from her stomach, but she might well have been pushing a mountain. She coughed briefly, sending a small spray of blood into the air, and collapsed to the ground, her energy spent. Why is this so sad? These stories are terrible. Tiny lurched to her feet, only to fall back to earth with a gasp. Her ankles were on fire. One or both of them were surely broken. Ignoring the pain that streamed through her body, she began dragging herself across the ground, leaving a drunken trail of dust and blood in her wake. Grandma, hold on. Just a little longer. Her grandmother's face was turning blue, her eyes rolling back until only the whites were exposed. Kaine pulled herself across the ground with maddening slowness, the distance seeming to increase with every second that passed. The shade glanced between the two women and flicked out its tongue, its giant mouth trimming up at the corners. Short, panting breaths belched from somewhere deep inside its core. Bastard, laughing at us. She had no idea how such a mindless creature could experience emotion. There could be no doubt that the shade was taking joy in their suffering. Yeah, I see your plan. The shade moved its claw slightly, allowing Grandma to breathe again. It was clearly keeping her alive, only to snuff out her life when Tiny was close enough to touch her. I'm gonna kill this bastard. Summoning all her strength, Tiny rose to her feet. Hi, Red Kimmy, welcome back. What's up? Well, this is horrific. This is not what I expected today. There was a sickening snap from her right ankle as the foot twisted backward, but she forced it from her mind and began to hobble towards the monster. Pulling a small knife from the pouch at her waist, she leapt on the foot that pinned her grandmother and plunged the weapon deep. Give her back, she screamed. Give her back to me. It was like stabbing her off. After a few swipes, the knife broke at the hilt with a dull snap. The shade panted laughter again, then raised its tail and sent it rushing through the air towards the young girl that was lashed onto his foot. Tiny never had a chance. The tail struck her square in the chest and sent her crashing into the burning wreckage of the home. As she lay on the ground with blood pouring from multiple wounds, a small, weak voice spoke up. Tiny? Tiny's vision blurred, but she forced herself to focus on the sound. Finally, her eyes cleared enough for her to make out her grandmother's hands reaching out to her through the smoke. Grandma? Tiny, you gotta run. You can't pass this one. Tiny grabbed the hands and held on with all her strength. Grandma, come on, we have to go. The old woman coughed loudly. One of her hands, slick with blood, slipped from Tiny's grasp and thumped to the ground below. Grandma, no. I said run, goddammit. You have to. You have to live. You have to get through. The thought would stay forever unfinished. Before she could say another word, the shade's clawed foot descended, smashing through the remains of the roof and down upon the shattered figure of the old woman. Blood oozed from gaps in the creature's toes as the terrible putrid smell assaulted Kaima's nose once again. She stared at the foot, dumbfounded, convinced that what she was seeing could not be real. When the creature finally lifted its appendage, all that remained underneath was a twisted, unrecognizable mass of rubble and red. Her grandmother was gone. Tiny blinked, trying to feel the hands which had been in hers just a moment before. For a fleeting instant, she could remember the warmth of that embrace, the trembling of the fingers, but then the sensation drifted away on the breeze and was gone. Memories flashed through Kaine's mind, one after the other, faster and faster, until they became a meaningless jangle of noise. Kaine screamed then, a thunderous sound that echoed off the cliffs and seemed to roll away forever. The shade eased forward, black ichor pouring from its mouth and dissolving into smoke on the ground below. The earth shook with every step as it crept towards its prey. Heine's body slowly rose as if controlled by a mad puppet master. Her arms and legs were bent at impossible angles. Her head rolled dangerously to the side, yet somehow she managed to stand. This is so sad. Staring at the shade, her eyes began to glow with a deep red fire. The creature, so confident just moments before, took a slow, hesitant step backwards, trying to discern if this broken human could possibly pose a threat. Heine seized the moment. Laughing like a mad woman, she leapt into the air and plunged the shattered hilt of her knife deep into the leg of the shade. The shade shook Heine off like a fly, sending her crashing to the earth once again. Her chest rose and fell slowly, as if a great weight were resting on it. Moist sounds of pain echoed through her mind. Something warm and thick oozed from her ears. Is that blood? I think it is. I think I'm bleeding to death. No, can't die. Grandma told me to live. Deep inside Kaine's mind, something finally broke. The sound, the pain, the smoke and flames, all of it faded away until all that remained was a single incantation repeated over and over again. Kill it. Kill it. Kill it, kill it, kill it, kill it. Kill it. Kill it now. As the spark that was Kaine slowly began to flicker and die, she felt her desire to kill and her desire to live blend into one. The distance between heartbeats grew longer and longer and longer. Kaine's dreams encounter. Is this whole ending B going to be like reading and just seeing like a little bit of these, or am I actually gonna get to like play through like parts of the game or gently, weakly, softly? The shade, sure that its tormentor was dead, turned and stomped off towards the horizon, stopping along the way to bellow one final roar. Couldn't kill it. Shamed beyond imagining, Kaine tried to turn her head to the side, but only succeeded in coughing up a huge gout of blood. It was getting difficult to see, and only after a moment of fierce concentration did she realize that her left eye was gone. Laughing to herself, she turned her remaining eye to the ruins of her home and noticed a ragged stump of arm resting a few feet away. Yeah, that's mine, she thought with a mad giggle. It's gonna make clapping a real bitch. Wait, she lost an eye and she lost an arm? But she kind of has arms. Like, she has this, like, thing, like, wrapped in her. What? Ah, cried a sudden voice from the depths of her mind. I ain't gonna die, are you? Well, you had it coming. Go to hell, Devo, she thought at the unseen assailant. Go to hell before I pluck out your eyes and feed them to a dog. The voice of her childhood terror evaporated into smoke, only to be replaced by another, more recent voice. Hold still, said the apothecary, materializing from the ruins like a ghost. I want to draw you. That way you can live forever. No, stop. I don't want to live forever. I want to die right here. I see, he said quietly. Well, if that's what you want. The spectral shopkeeper fluttered in and out of existence for a moment, and produced a piece of paper and sketched quickly. After a few seconds, he turned the page to Kaine and smiled. Since you rejected my offer, I decided to draw someone else. It was a picture of her grandmother, real as life. Kaine opened her mouth to thank the man, but stopped as the picture began to blacken in the middle. Before she could say anything, dozens of multi-legged insects began to swarm across the image, tearing it with a sharpened pincers. We'll have way more reading than before. I see. No, I don't mind them. I don't mind it. I was just wondering, like, what the general experience was gonna be. Enemies do not scale. It will be a lot easier, which is both a blessing and a curse, depending if you find it a pay to play through some parts again. Yeah, I see. I see. Well, I mean, at least it'll be faster. I think I missed a message. Let me see. It's totally a new story in World. Octopath Traveler is a part of Bravely. I didn't finish Octopath, but I think it's going to be the same. It's Bravely with new characters and story in a part. Oh, okay, okay. So then I'll just play the new ones and not worry about the old ones unless I somehow someday get the opportunity to check them out. Stop! No, don't hurt that picture. Heidi reached out with her remaining arm and waved futilely at the air. To her surprise, the insects fell off the picture and to the ground below, where they vanished into tiny black tendrils of smoke. Relieved, Kaine turned her good eye back to the picture, only to open her mouth in a silent scream. The sketch now showed her grandmother as she truly was, a smashed, unrecognizable lump of nothing. Oh my god. The apothecary smiled and broke into a jolly dance. See that? He cried as he danced his jig. It's perfect now. She looks just like you. What? I look like that? Oh god. Oh god, I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die. Drowning in despair. Like, that man would never say that. Drowning in despair, Tiny laid her head back in the mud and smoke of her ruined house and waited for the end to come. But just before she let everything go, an unfamiliar voice began whispering in her ear. "And you got a wish, sunshine." The voice was vulgar and fierce at the same time, as if insanity had somehow found a way to take form. Tiny wanted to scream as the voice crawled under her skin, but the lungs refused to work. You know, a wish, like a prayer or something. Why don't you get on your knees and start praying to heaven? Please, invisible man in the sky, save me, save me. Ha ha ha. Tiny finally resorted to shouting at her voice with her mind. I don't make wishes. They don't come true for me. I'm a curse, a freak. I should be left to die. The other voice boomed in her ears. Ah ha ha, oh god, you are the best. Tiny glanced down and saw a black, shiny substance oozing from her legs. She tried to brush it away, but her remaining arm would no longer respond. But the substance slowly crept around her feet and then began moving up towards the rest of her body. Is this death? Is this what it's like? Or is my mind just losing itself? She could feel the slime oozing upward, feel the hot, searing pain it left in its wake. Whatever else might be happening, she was still alive, and this was real. Come on, said the voice, let it go. Tiny tried to ignore the voice and concentrate on the pain, but the newcomer would have none of it. Don't ignore me, sunshine. You're ready to give up, ready to die. So why not let me have it? Have what? Your body. Come on, give it to me. Give it to me. I want to stand on the ground, feel the rain, taste the wind. Wait, would this be how she became like a half shade? Is this how shades are made? The voice paused as if licking its lips. When it resumed, it was filled with mad, unabated joy. And I want to take your hands and use them to choke the goddamn life out of people. I want to tear out their throats and bathe in the blood just like before. In response, Kindness shifted her head and vomited. The warmth of it crept down her front and mingled with the pain of the encroaching black ooze. Are you a shade? Ha ha ha. Yeah, maybe. What of it? The slime reached her face, crept up past her nose, and slowly oozed into the socket of her missing eye. Oh. The moment it touched her brain, Kaine was struck by the most powerful sensation she'd ever felt in her life. It was ecstasy. She wanted to scream with delight, but all she could manage was a small whispered moan. Feels good, don't it? Asked the voice with a chuckle. Yeah, what can I say? I know how to please the ladies. Now give me that body. Come on, give me the body and I'll give you more of this feeling. It's a fair trade. A black lump began to protrude from Kaine's side. As she watched, it grew longer and thicker, eventually taking the form of her missing arm. I can see better, she thought. My arm must be growing back too. The slime reached up to envelop the rest of her face, but she managed to brush it away. Stop, she whispered, marveling at how she had regained her voice. Stop. The black ooze hesitated, as if considering this request, then quickly simmered down her body before disappearing in a cloud of smoke. Oh, what the hell, sunshine? Screamed the voice. We had a deal. I thought you wanted to die. Grandma said can't die yet. A brief image of her grandmother, bloodied and broken, flashed before her eyes. She saw the shade that had killed her and heard its mocking laughter, and closed her eyes and forced the image from her mind. Her whole body was quaking with rage. When she opened her eyes again, they burned bright red. That thing took my grandmother. I have to kill it before I die. Heine glanced down and saw a mysterious pattern. The pattern of the shades burned itself into her left arm. "Oh, I'll be damned," said the voice cheerfully. "Look at that sunshine. I think you and me are going to be good friends now." Tiny stared intently at her arm. The more emotional she felt, the more letters uh, seemed seemed ready to puncture her skin and begin infecting the rest of her body. Arm clearly had a will of its own now. Stop. Out of stop. Holding her left arm in her right, Tiny took a deep breath and tried to calm herself. "Come on, don't fight it," pleaded the voice. "Hate's my favorite dish, and I'm hungry. Feel the anger. Burn with the fire of revenge. Thirst for blood. Then go out there and shut up. Shut up and get the hell out of my body." "Your body? Oh, that's rich, sunshine. Real rich. Look, why don't you just up and die so I can have this body all to myself? What do you say? I bet those buddies of yours in the area would love to see you dead." Yeah, that's not a way to get her to die, is it? Tiny grabbed a nearly shard of glass and tried to saw off the shade-infected portion of her side. Before she could, her darkened left arm grabbed her right wrist, crushing it. Tiny screamed and dropped the shard as the sound of bone crunching on bone filled the air. "Ha ha ha, stupid idiot girl. You're possessed now, sunshine, and there ain't no going back." The voice laughed again, a loud, long wail that seemed to go on without end. "Possessed," whispered Tiny. "Yeah, possessed. You and me, we got what you might call a timeshare agreement. Remember how folks used to think you were a freak? Well, wait till they get a load of you now." Like, am I supposed to know and understand why they thought she was a freak before? Because I thought that she was always like this, like that she had her body covered or whatever. But now I'm starting to realize that that's actually what happened after. Is this something that I'm going to find out later? Why, like how she made bad things happen or whatever, and like the story about her parents, or no? Because she mentioned something about like if she hadn't been this way, that her parents would have, I don't know, maybe still been alive or whatever. Am I gonna find out about this? All I see is basically in the text here. Oh, I see. Heidi looked up, tears in her eyes. The size seemed smaller somehow, darker. Is this because of that shade? Is this how they see the world? So, listen, heard the voice. "I know this whole possession thing seems a bit of a sudden, but it ain't all bad. There's plenty in it for you, too. I'm a very powerful creature, sunshine, and now that power belongs to you. You got enemies, people you want to kill? I can make it happen. That little fat kid who kept picking on you, that big old shade that squashed your granny, we'll wrap them up in their own assholes. No more abuse for you, sunshine. No more pain." "Wait," said Kaiden, "you're a shade. Why would you help me kill another shade?" "What, do you think I'm some kind of racist? Some killing snob? I don't give a good goddamn who you murder, honey pants. I just want to drink from the well." I didn't consider this as she struggled to her feet, the power of the shade coursing through her. The smoke from her house was drifting away with the wind, and she enjoyed the way the cool evening breeze felt on her new left arm. After a long pause, the voice spoke up again. "So, how about it? You and me. We can have some good times together. Look, I'll even take care of the bloody part if you don't want to." "Fuck off, asshole," muttered Kaine. "I'll handle the killing." "Ha ha ha," screamed the voice. "Look at you go. Oh, sunshine, we're gonna have so much fun. So listen, my name is Tyron, and if you ever need me, I'll just be hanging out in this piece of meat you call a heart." Now get to it. The more you kill, the more your heart turns rotten and sour, and I like rotten and sour. Heidi found herself nodding at the voice. "Yeah," she said. "Yeah, I think this can work. I'm gonna find that shade and I'm gonna strangle it with its own guts. And when I'm done, I'm gonna do the same to you, Tyrant. Count on it." "Ha," laughed Tyrant. "I've shit bigger than you, so good luck with that." "Oh, and hey, one more thing. Right now, you and me are sharing this body, but if you ever run out of hate, if you ever, go soft, then I'm gonna take over everything." Oh, so that's why she's just, so angry still all the time. Like, that explains a lot. So keep on killing, Sunshine, and watch your back. The voice grew fainter and gradually faded away, fading to somewhere deep inside Kaine herself. Kaine waited until she was sure the voice was gone, and waved her new left arm around a few times. It feels perfectly normal, she thought. It feels like mine. Yeah, she has to keep killing. Maybe making friends, for her at least, was very dangerous. And maybe this is why she chooses, I don't know, she chooses like not to, I don't know, enter cities or sleep inside or whatever. It's like not hurt like the actual innocent people. That I guess would kind of make sense. Desperately, she began poking and prodding at the moon limb, determined to find something wrong with it. She didn't want it to feel normal. That would mean the creature inside her had already won. I am not a shade. I am Kaine. Repeating this mantra in her mind, she slowly began digging through the rubble of her house, being careful to ignore a certain red-stained spot in the corner. Aww. Finally, after what seemed like an eternity of heartbreaking work, she found what she was looking for. It was a wreath of lunar tears. Though it had been through hell and back, the garland's petals were as bright as ever. Kaine started to place it in her hair, and slowly lowered the wreath and stared at it. I'm sorry, Grandma. I'm so sorry. But I don't deserve to wear this anymore. I'm possessed, corrupted, a freak. And this time, I don't think there's any going back. Holding the flowers to her heart, Kaine fell to the ground and sobbed. As night gradually lightened to dawn and the people of the Eyrie arose to their daily lives, she remained in that position, as if tears could somehow wash away the horror that now infected her world.
Alive! Stay alive! Stay alive!
Grandma.
Oh, this is when we met her.
Kaine, you gotta live! You gotta come
Well,
back
this is
to
what
us!
she was reminded of. Well, like how everything just like starts fitting together.
I should apologize to Kaine and Emil, but what good would that even do?
I got a fire going, Kaine.
Wait, is that...
Campfires? I'm so happy to get to talk to you again, Kaine.
Yeah, me too.
Aww.
I
Oh,
tried
this is
everything
new.
I could think of to save you, you know. I polished you with a special cloth. I poured warm water over you.
Aww.
Wait, you poured water?
Yeah, but it didn't really do much except make you all
Aw.
shiny.
Hey, Emil. Thanks for saving me.
I guess you noticed how I look different now.
Yeah, like the additional stuff in the cutscenes, it's just such a nice touch that they added that to the actual I don't know, I guess the speed run feeling of it.
I'm sorry, Emil. I'm sorry for all of it.
Well, I mean, this new form isn't all bad, you know? At least I can look at you when we talk, right? Hey, so why don't you tell me something about yourself?
I'm not very interesting. Sorry.
She is so interesting. What?
Come on, I just want to know you better. Please?
Fine. This all happened when I was a kid. Before the whole shade possession thing. My body is... different. And when the villagers found out about it...
Maybe she does share
started treating
additional
me like
info
a
about
freak.
how she is different.
But one person, my grandmother, accepted me just as I was.
Or is this the intersex part that you mentioned? Like I don't know how exactly she's different. Like she doesn't look different
No
to
matter
me.
how bad things got, she gave me the strength to keep going.
She's really special to you, huh?
She just says her body is different. Oh, I see. So basically it's like a confirmed speculation, I suppose. I see.
Yeah.
But like because like I would never think of it personally because of just how feminine, her appearance is in certain ways. So I would never like it just never crossed my mind.
Oh, hey!
And I know that that's not the way to look at it. I just like it never occurred to me like that she would be different in that way.
Since we cured your petrification, we should start looking for a way to cure your possession in my body. I know we can do it if we all work together. Heck, it'll probably be super easy.
Super easy, huh?
Let me guess. More warm.
Okay, can we just forget I told you about that?
At least he was trying. That's so cute. Oh, I have to go. Oh, okay. I was like, Rattle. Who's? He's sentient. Wait, who is this? Am I supposed to know who this is? Can't stop bothering me. Oh, this is the one who we fought. Who was guarding the grimoire was. I see. And Hanzo might be the one that we killed when we took the thing. Aww. Life is over, just leave me alone. Sorry, I forgot to read. But that one that does replays better, it's way less repetitive, more polished, I see. My life is over, just leave me alone. Aww. What? So he was speaking, and in my mind, like I was reading, and I'm like, oh, he's reading this, but he wasn't speaking English, so you just say, fuck it. I've treated you all poorly. I mocked you, betrayed you, all because you went gestalt before the change was complete. But after all this, I think I can understand you. I think we can speak as equals. This makes me very happy. I hope we can spend the rest of our life. What was that? It feels like he's speaking to little kids in a way. It's very cute. So they actually hurt us. Hey, I don't have that sword, do I? It's like an old cutscene. Aww, it's trying to defend these little ones. That's actually adorable. Why is that so adorable? I don't want to kill it. I don't want to kill them.
What's going on? There's dozens of them.
Aww.
Creatures of the darkness. Lure them to the light.
Aww.
Pathetic to the end, I see.
Aim for that statue. It's the leader.
Just like we rely on that. Aww. Aww. But we don't understand him, do we? Oh no. That feels so bad.
Oh, you're funny. I'm gonna start crying here.
That's so sad. Oh, come on. Can we not do this?
Foolish creatures. You cannot hope to best me.
Because your experience behind this story, now she got tired in her body, so she understands what the shades say. Oh, and also you, so long as you read the subtitles, enjoy. I see, so that's why we understand.
Beast.
Aww. Aww. feels so bad.
This is one stubborn son of a bitch.
And Tyron is not even telling us what they're saying.
Hey there, sunshine. You ain't feeling bad, Miss Fire. Ain't no turning back now.
So this is basically in Kaine's head.
Blood. Embrace the slaughter. All we know is the thrill of battle. Ain't that right, Kaine?
Aww.
Kaine!
Okay, I definitely remember that. Oh, so that's why she heals, because she has this... Because she has that thing that just, like, replenishes her. Listening to Tyron is actually hilarious. Didn't think it'd be so funny. But now I understand why she's kind of indestructible. You're incomplete, but the friends makes us whole. Aww. I feel like such a jerk now. Is that normal? No happiness allowed, only pain. This feels so bad.
Kaine! Are you alright? Kaine! I fear there is little we can do for her.
No! Kaine!
What is happening?
It's all over for you, sunshine.
Kaine! Kaine!
I'm very curious to hear how Tyron processed all of this. Oh, so that's when when Tyrant was trying to take over or whatever. I see.
It's Kaine's shade!
No other choice. We must track
I
it down.
see. I see.
Kaine!
Okay. That now it all makes sense.
Kaine! Kaine!
Kaine!
I couldn't hold it back. I can't be with...
We're always going to be together, Kaine. If you transform again, we'll just stop it again. As many times as it takes. I don't care how tough it is. We're gonna get you back. I like sleeping outside because I'm with you,
Aww.
Kaine. I'm able to ignore my appearance and keep going because of you. I'm weak, and I'm sad, and I'm lonely. But you make me strong. You're my friend, and I need you. So don't you
I always
dare
felt like
leave me.
this was a bit fast forwarded, like his speech here. Yeah, well, thank you and welcome. Hope you're having a good day.
Stop crying.
Her theme was so gorgeous. Like I could be listening to it all day.
And... thanks. I'm alright.
Did I finish my tea? I did. Yeah, definitely coming together. For the longest time, I thought that there was like 4 endings, but now I guess finding out that there is 5. So how many times do I actually have to play through the whole thing? Like, is the 5th ending pretty much the same? Am I gonna have to do it again, or? It's the only part of the game where you don't click through the lines. I'm too distraught to wait for you to click through. It feels like it, yeah.
Sam, where'd they go? Get him! Don't let him escape!
Oh my god. I feel worse and worse. Shade by shade. Why is this making me feel so sad? Freaking shades. What? Is that the robot shade?
Here! They're in here!
Oh my god. Fucking unbelievable. What? Oh. Oh, that's how they met the robot. Why is this game making me feel like a massive jerk? It's like I went and actually killed her. Like, they would have killed me, but...
Military defense robot, P-33. You are an intruder. You must be eliminated. Error. There is something leaking from your eyes.
I'm crying, you big dumb robot. I miss my mom.
What is crying? Who is Mom?
It doesn't matter. I can't see her ever again because she's dead.
My creator is also dead. He perished hundreds of years ago.
Hundreds of years ago, really?
874 years, 10 months,
Jeez.
14 days, 4 hours, and 43 minutes.
Are you lonely?
I am incapable of being lonely, or missing others, or crying.
I'm crying because I don't wanna die. Okay, I'm going to actually have to, let me see.
You will die.
If the humans catch me, they're gonna kill me.
Why?
Why will they kill you? Aww.
I will not permit the humans to kill Khalil.
And we did.
Military defense robot P-33 will protect you.
You're gonna help me.
P-33 is charged with defending others. P-33 will defend Khalil.
Oh, hooray! Thanks, Robot. And since we're friends now, I'm gonna call you BP. Aww. So that's how the Shade actually partnered up with this one. I just want to see the brothers cutscene and the...
Man, there's gotta be tons of machinery here.
Yeah, but I don't know how much we can actually use.
Oh, wow. Check this out. It looks brand new.
Hey, be careful, all right? This place is dangerous.
So now we're gonna
I'll be
understand.
fine.
Oh no!
What the robot reaction was and like the Shade reaction to what happened. And they probably didn't want this to happen either, I guess.
Huh?
Did he ever realize that he was the one who pushed that thing?
Jacob? Oh god, this can't be happening.
Because
Jacob!
like he kept
Jacob!
blaming like the shades and the robot and whatnot, but
No!
it made me kind of think that he didn't at all realize that it was his fault. Wow, that was scary.
The noise of the intruders caused the structure to fail. They should have proceeded with more caution. One intruder has perished.
That's terrible. I don't think they were chasing me. They seemed nice. Aww.